As a responsible person with growing concerns for your privacy and personal liberty, you want to know where we're headed and what you can do about it. We ask the experts what you need to do to take prudent and responsible action to safeguard your family's wealth and well-being, and what basic first steps will help you to be aware and prepared. ReluctantPreppers.com.
Welcome back, Reluctant Preppers. Today we have a returning guest, Gregory Mannarino. He's a former equities trader with Bear Stearns. He's also an expert on the stock market and an observer of the precious metals markets, and quite a commentator on the federal debt and the international debt situation and what it spells for the future of risk for the average family. Gregory, welcome back to Reluctant Preppers.
It's great to be here. Thanks for having me back. I appreciate that.
I wanted to take the opportunity, if we could today, since there was a Federal Open Market Committee, FOMC, meeting today, if you could give us an update on your takeaways from the outcomes of that and what you think that spells for the future, any trends that you're seeing there, or any new indications of developments in the story that you've been expecting to happen from that, and how it implies risk or lack thereof to the common person, the common family.
Absolutely. Well, today, I believe we got yet again more of the same rhetoric out of the mouth of Janet Yellen, who is continuing to simply posture that the Federal Reserve, as well as the other world central banks, are in control of monetary policy. They have absolutely lost control of monetary policy. There is no way that they will be raising rates anytime soon. So again, this is just a matter of these central bankers trying to keep the confidence in the system working. The entire system, top down, backwards and sideways, is simply built upon confidence or trust that the system will continue to work. That's it. So what we're seeing here is, again, in my opinion, more of these individuals trying to maintain that what is going on around the world, not just here in the United States, with regard to the economy, is still within their grasp of controlling. But I believe beyond any shadow of a doubt that we are witnessing this spiral out of control, and this is going to get much, much worse. These riots that we're having here in the United States, these conflicts around the world, this is all part of this insurmountable debt problem that they've created here, and there's no way they're able to fix it.
Now, if any of our viewers understand and agree with what you just said, but they are, talking with people at work or in the neighborhood or in their family who really don't see what you see, what are some specific things that they could mention, we can point to that say, look at this, look at this, look at this, that really give you the evidence? When you say you're absolutely convinced, what are the things that are most compelling to you that show you that?
Sure. Well, just look at the actions of the world central banks, including the Federal Reserve. Let's just stick to the Federal Reserve just real quick here. So here we are 7 years out past the 2008 credit bubble collapse, and the Federal Reserve is remaining in their ZIRP, or zero interest rate policy mode. They cannot stop. Today, Janet Yellen, this was pretty much their theme. They were going to push forward with their ZIRP policy into the foreseeable future because, again, their metrics are not being met. Despite action, again, of the world central bank, the Federal Reserve, unprecedented in history, buying bonds, backdoor quantitative easing, which continues today. The Federal Reserve has never stopped quantitative easing, money printing. We're still not hitting those metrics, and we will not. All this is an economy on life support. And it's running out of steam here. Now, if you want to look around the world, look at the central banks who are now going negative. They've actually managed to turn the entire financial system upside down by going negative. This is how desperate they are. And, just look at the debt here. Again, we always talk about the debt. Under the last administration here, we've seen the national debt double. In other words, take every dollar that was added to the debt since the creation of the United States of America. It's been doubled under this administration. So again, what are we doing? To keep the system propped up, we need to keep borrowing cash from the future in greater and greater amounts to keep the system afloat. This will not work here. And we're already seeing the bond market warn us. We're seeing the action over the past several weeks where bond yields are creeping up and they're being pushed back down. These, in my opinion, are warning shots to the debt market or the bond market that something big is right around the corner.
Now, is that another example where people have talked about that, policymakers aside, the market will eventually have its way? I mean, if people who are involved in that are unwilling to bear that risk any longer, will the interest rates be forced higher by the bond market participants, regardless of what the policymakers are trying to do?
Absolutely, and that's been what I've been yelling from rooftops about for years now. What people need to understand is the only job of the markets, all of them, the bond market, the debt market, the currency market, all one and the same here, the stock market, housing market, precious metals market, you name it, they have one job and one job only, and that is to determine fair market value. But what we have seen here is world central banks, none more so than the Federal Reserve, manipulate the largest part of the market of them all, and that is the bond market or the debt market. By artificially suppressing these interest rates, it allows and creates massive distortions and capital misallocations across the spectrum. And this is exactly what we're talking about here, is the free market. The market itself is, without any shadow of any doubt, going to determine fair market value for assets across the board, including debt. And that is going to be the snapback moment. And I'm telling everyone who wants to listen that this moment is going to be epic. It's going to be historic. It will be biblical. We're going to have a correction in human population because of it. That's how huge this is.
I believe it was the Oracle of Omaha, Warren Buffett, who talked about that volatility is going to create mispricing, and mispricing is going to create opportunity. So if things are as distorted and as unhealthy as you describe, then the rule of contrarian investing is always to go against the herd, to do the opposite of what everybody thinks is normal at that time. So what does that point to in this kind of a situation? Number
freaking one, okay, is to be betting against this debt. The debt issue is insurmountable. Again, I've been screaming from rooftops about this for years and years. You need to understand that it cannot go on forever. We've been hearing about this since forever now. It's insurmountable. It can't be paid back. We're looking at the situation in Greece and other European nations as well. The United States, unfortunately, the largest debtor nation the world has ever known. They're going to continue to fuel the monster. We are in a debt acquisition cycle which is ending, and to capitalize on that, you need to be holding a hard asset, period. You also can take advantage of this in many other ways. If you're a trader like myself, you will be betting against the market. This is what all of those people, like the Oracle of Omaha, is doing himself, betting against this market, taking his investments overseas, getting out of currencies. This is common knowledge. So again, these people like the Oracle, we're not come out and tell people this. You got to search for this information here. All of the Wall Street banks, all the largest banks in the world, all countries around the world understand that this system is coming down, and they're taking steps to take advantage of that, and that is, again, by holding a hard asset. This is nothing more than a wealth transfer, which is going to leave the middle class absolutely desperate, destitute, wiped out, and will no longer exist in a few years, beyond any shadow of any doubt. We're going to a two-tier society. Again, another one of my premises I've been talking about for years now, the haves and the have-nots. And the wealth which is going to be literally taken or legally stolen from the middle class, the entire middle class is going to end up in the hands of a very few individuals who are going to become incredibly wealthy over this.
Now, you just mentioned that there's certain actions that are not being talked about on the surface, but if you look behind and you dig underneath, you can find that they are happening. So, in that old saying that information is power and knowledge is power, what information or what knowledge are you privy to that again can give people who believe this but want to have solid understanding of it, of what the people who are in the elite knowledge position are, what actions are they actually taking that maybe they're not talking about as publicly as they're doing those things?
Of course, first of all, you need to be ignoring the mainstream media because they will never tell you the truth. They will never tell you what's going on. That's why channels like yours are so important, so people can understand where this is going and, to get a different perspective, because all they're going to tell everyone is everything is just fine. Just, you keep acquiring those dollars or those euros or those whatever, stay away from hard assets. Keep yourself engaged in the system that they have set up. This is number one. You need to understand that people need to be getting out of their system that has been set up for their purpose. Again, and just look at the actions of world central banks, countries around the world, the richest people on earth. What are they doing? They're betting against the currency. They're betting against the dollar.
And how are they doing that?
Well, what are they doing? There's many ways to do that. Just you can exchange those dollars for precious metals. I mean, let's just put a really easy perspective on this, because again, I did a little article recently. I wrote about how there are so many dollar bills out there that are so willing to put down gold, but what they either fail to realize or what they won't talk about is how back in 2008. Gold was trading for around $800 an ounce. Today, it's about $1,200. That's a 50% increase. So what does that actually mean? Did gold become more valuable, or did the dollar lose its value, so it takes more dollars to buy gold? This is a trend which will continue into infinity. Again, as the world central banks, including the Federal Reserve, will continue to print and print and print and print more. Because that's their only alternative right now. It's all that's keeping the system alive is backdoor quantitative easing. The Federal Reserve is forcing banks to buy debt. They've been doing this since 2012. I urge people to do a little of their own research on this. Do research into every single thing I'm saying. They will find that it's absolutely true. So this mechanism of the world central banks who are trying to fix a debt problem by adding more debt to it, I mean, people don't understand that cannot work. And the analogy that I've been using for years is simply this. It's the same as if you were trying to save a drowning person by pouring more water on them. It won't work. All it's leading to is a critical mass, which is going to, again, cause such ripples throughout the entire financial system as it corrects to fair market value, which means debt will be priced for what it really is, and precious metals will be priced for what they really are, and that will take everything along with it. Housing, the stock market, you name an asset, it will be affected. There is no way, none, that the actions of the world central banks can go on without a consequence. And this consequence, one of their own making, is, again, going to be epic.